Hello there, scholars of the game, and welcome back to Devil's Advocate Gaming. Today we're doing another discussion video. No, it's not typically my thing, but since the game's in a new territory, I want to try some new stuff too, especially since there's just so much to talk about, right? Today I'm going to run you through 3 topics: survivors, killers, and killer perks. We'll talk about survivors another time. If this video does well, I'll do another one on survivor perks I'm pretty surprised by, but for right now, it's just going to be survivor stuff, killer stuff, and killer perks. So first thing I want to do is talk about survivors. Survivors. There's really no easy way to say this, so I'm going to say this as gently as possible, alright? Don't get mad, but a lot of y'all survivors don't know how to chase. Okay, there, I said it. I put it out there. Say whatever you want in the comments. But, yeah. Without a certain problematic, troublesome perk, a lot of you guys are just going down really fast. I've noticed 2 things in my games. 1, survivor chases typically aren't taking a lot more than 20 seconds after the initial hit, which I guess is the place the devs want it to be. And 2, DCs are skyrocketing, bro. It's like when you get that good mind game on a survivor, they go down, you pick them up, a big symbol across your stream, DC. And it feels bad, but it feels worse when it's solo queue and like you're trying to get shit done. I digress. Look, what I'm saying is, a lot of you have to reassess the situation. A lot of you are used to running around a loop, greeting one more time, dead harding through the pallet, and then dropping it on the killer's head. That's what I'm not trying to point fingers. I'm just saying that's what a lot of you are used to. But now, the reason you were getting that is because we'd always wait out the dead hard. It's this omnipresent threat that's always been around. Now that we're not waiting out the dead hard as killer, you have to drop that pallet. You have to drop it immediately. I've noticed that a little bit more too. A lot of people are just pre-dropping early in games, especially when I play Legion and Dredge. We'll talk about that later though. Yeah, survivors are getting spread like butter. The second thing I want to talk to you guys about are killers. Certain killers, right? Specifically the chase killers. So if you look at a killer like Clown, he's always been bottom tier in everyone's mind, never makes a top 10. Really, you have to really put forth a good argument to put him in anyone's top 20. Usually if you take the number of killers in a game and you subtract like 5 or 7 from it, that's where you're gonna find Clown in the rankings pretty consistently, which hurts my heart because he's a really fun killer to play. I also find him kind of fun to go against. But Clown was a map dependent killer. Just like Huntress, if he doesn't get a good line of sight, if he can't freely throw his bottles at you, he doesn't have a power. So maps like Leary's and other indoor maps, they really hurt Clown. Maps with lots of houses, you know what I'm talking about, like Coldwind House, fucking Lambkin Lane, those maps hurt Clown. Clown doesn't struggle as much on Freddy's map, you know, fucking, I forget what it's called, because there's a lot of open space. When you do chase in those houses, it does get a lot harder. Thing about it is, with Chase being the new meta, since insta-heals aren't a thing and Clown can spread pressure, he's slowly becoming more of a threat, and we'll talk more about that later, but take my word for it, for now, Clown's gonna be a threat going forward. Also, let's talk about Doctor, right? So usually what happens with Doctor is he wants to shock you, you either instant drop the pallet, or you get cheated out of the pallet or the window, then he goes in to hit you. Then he also has to wait out dead hard, right? So the Doctor can play perfectly, but one perk that's completely outside of his control kind of cucks him every time. But now without dead hard, my Doctor games are going a lot more smoothly. I feel like I am being rewarded for understanding loops and understanding where to shock, the range of my shocks, etc, etc. But that's just a lot of killer stuff I want to like get out of the way. For those of you who are like struggling against like chase killers now, just understand that the game's been made a lot easier for them. Now that we got the survivor and killer stuff out of the way, I want to talk about killer perks, right? Because I've been thoroughly surprised by the state of like killers and their perks. So first I want to talk about the obviously good stuff, right? Scourge Hook, Gift of Pain. Well, I guess not the obviously good stuff. I want to talk about the stuff I was thoroughly wrong about. Let's put it like that, right? So, Pain Resonance, This is a perk that when it got reworked, it only gives you 4 tokens and you need 4 different survivors to get all the value out of it. And I thought that was going to be exhaustible just because, like, unlike Old Barbecue or Grim Embrace, it only gives you 4 Scourge hooks throughout the entire map, and because maps are so big, sometimes you're not going to get consistent Scourge hooks. That was my argument. That's what I sincerely thought. But with chases ending so fast and consistently, and I guess they might have modified the RNG of Scourge hooks, I have been able to get Scourge hooks a lot more consistently. I don't know if they did something on the back end, but I swear there were times, especially on Grim Pantry, when all 4 of my Scourge hooks would pop up on 4 separate ends of the map and I just couldn't use them. Suspiciously, after the update, that hasn't been happening a lot, so I have to consider, was that all in my head this whole time? I don't think it was, because I've got it on film. I'm a content creator. But yeah, with the exception of Coldwind, just one Coldwind map, not all of them. Not Rotten Abattoir, I don't know what it is. And RPD, especially RPD, I don't get Scourge hooks on those maps at all sometimes. But on every other single map I've been playing on, even Mother's Dwelling, I can consistently get Scourge hooks. So that's a plus. That's something I didn't see coming. So good job. Good job, Behavior. Good job. Then I want to talk about Leverage. This is a perk that was okay before, but I was playing it around as a meme perk. But now, like, Leverage is giving me value through the roof. So if you watch any of my previous videos, you'll know that I say Leverage destroys resets. So you injure 3 survivors, hook 1. The survivors that are healing are going to have a penalty of 5% per hook you've gotten in the match. So at 6 hooks at that midway point in the match, when survivors are trying to knock shit out, that's when they're going to be getting a 30% penalty. And that's not even including the fact that every killer I've gone against has been running some form of sloppy butcher, alright? So these are going to be some long ass heals. Again, it's not overly oppressive because you have to get a hook for it and you have to have survivors injured for it to have any effect, but as far as resets go, Leverage is a scary perk on mobile killers like Blight, Dredge, Spirit, Nurse, etc, etc. Some of which I play. Oh, and killers that can injure fast like Plague and Legion. And then Game of Foot. So I was talking about Clown earlier. I have some Game of Foot builds with Clown that should not be getting the results that they're getting, but they do, and I find that fucking hilarious. So, Game of Foot's gonna make you 5% faster when you break a pallet while chasing the Obsession. I know that sounds like a lot to do, but between Game of Foot itself, changing your Obsession, Nemesis Undying, why do I keep saying that? Not Nemesis Undying, Nemesis Play With Your Food, switching your Obsession freely and giving you speed bonuses, I've pretty consistently kept my Clown at like 15% movement speed, just being a right bastard. It is so much fun. This perk, please don't sleep on this perk with Clown. Between his Afterpiece Tonic, this, and Play With Your Food, like, Clown's got mobility now. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. Now let's go over to the next set of perks, right? It's been 8 minutes already. Sorry to talk y'all ear off, but these are 3 perks that are finally decidedly good in my book. Deadlock. Deadlock has always been a good perk. I don't want anybody to get me wrong on that, but it's always like, yeah, I can just stop someone from doing a random gen across the map, or I can bring a Gen Defense perk like Call of Brine, Overcharge, so I can have my own zone locked down. But now with all the regression perks knocked down, which the game is in a good place right now, they more than their rights to do that. Deadlock is just handy. Whenever I'm making a build, I have 3 perks that synergize well, and I'm like, oh man, what should my last perk be? I need something Gen Defense-y, right? Deadlock. Insta-lock Deadlock. No discussion. So, again, good job, Behavior. Eruption and Jolt. So, Eruption, after its nerf, wasn't too good because when survivors are good when they're focused, they can easily knock out the gen you've set Eruption on. That used to be the case. Again, survivors are going down like... there's a club joke in there somewhere. Again, survivors are getting spread like butter, so they don't have the time to work on gens that they used to, meaning you're going to get more consistent results from Eruption. And that's what I'm saying about Jolt too. I used to run Jolt sparingly just on killers that really don't have time to kick gens. With maps being so big and chases going on for so long, survivors just running you to the end of the map when they know you have it. Jolt just never went off. Like, for me personally, it goes off every once in a while. When I watch content creators that also use Jolt, I'm like, yeah, it's good, but in some of these situations, a Scourge Hook just would have been infinitely better, right? But now, again, survivors are going down fast. You don't have to wait out dead hards. You can just strike through pallets whenever you want. Jolt is going to go off consistently unless the survivors act really smart about it. So, yeah, Jolt, Eruption, Deadlock, great perks right now if you're not using them. Consider just one for your build. You'll be fine with that and a couple of chase perks. And these are the last perks I want to talk about, right? I guess in like Pokemon Showdown in the Smogon community, perks like these are what you might call suspect. They're not banned right now, but we're definitely looking at them. And by we, I mean me. First of all, Grim Embrace. I didn't think you would get 4 hooks off for Scourge Hook Gift of Pain, right? I'm sorry, Pain Resonance. I never thought you'd get 4 hooks consistently for that, but people are doing it. I'm doing it. Why not Grim Embrace then? Survivors are going down a lot faster. You can have, what, 40 seconds of just straight up chase with the Obsessions aura revealed for you for like, what is that, 5 seconds? So this is not a bad perk anymore. I'm going to go on record. I'm going to run some builds with it. I'm going to upload the videos for you. I'm going to show you Grim Embrace ain't a terrible perk anymore. Then we have Dying Light. This is more on the leverage side of things, right? Leverage is going to have you hooking survivors for a healing penalty. This is the original. No, it's not. That's the Natophobia. This is like the original hooking survivors for a healing penalty perk. That was a mouthful. So the reason people don't run this perk is because, one, at the point where this perk becomes good, like it's a win more perk, I hear people say. Once you're at like, what, 6 stacks on this, you're already winning. Like, well, you may as well run Pop Goes the Weasel for all that. But the main reason people don't run it is because it gives the Obsession a 33% healing speed buff. Let's put it like that. And unhooking buff, so making trading a lot harder for Killer. But the weird thing is right now, we're in a meta where between Nemesis Play With Your Food and Game Afoot, there's gonna be no consistent Obsession. So you can literally stand under a pallet, let the worst survivor in the lobby stun you, keep him slugged, and just let everyone else suffer. That's a pretty fantastical scenario, but against Leatherface, oh, poor Leatherface right now, bro. Against Billy and like other killers that can slug pretty consistently, it might be the play. It might be the play. But if you stack this with leverage or any success with the Natophobia and Sloppy Butcher, like, survivors are just in for a bad time, especially because this this penalty is never going to go away. So this is just a perk I'm going to keep in the back of my mind. I'm going to try and make it work because I love all of Myers' perks and I love Myers as a killer. Deathbound. This is a perk that I've always been trying to make work. I had video plans for it, but it just never worked out before. But now, since survivors are pretty much forced to heal each other in this current meta, like healing yourself with a medkit once just isn't going to bring you the value of healing other people around you with the medkit or just with your hands, Deathbound is going to tell you exactly where they are, and the person who did the healing is going to be oblivious to you if they move, how many meters? 8 meters away from the survivor that they healed. So, and this can affect multiple survivors, remember that. So if people 2-stack heal a person, chances are they're not going to be shoulder to shoulder running like the goddamn comedy trio, like the fucking Larry and Curly and Moe, the Three Stooges. Something tells me they're not going to be that buddy. So once they spread out, they're going to be oblivious, and you're going to have even more of a chance to interrupt them in other functions, blessing totems, doing gens, healing other survivors. Now, if you have this and Nurse's Calling on, I believe Nurse's Calling is, I don't have to guess, I can look at it. I think it's 28 meters though. Yeah, it's 28 meters. So 28 meters, 32 meters, that leaves a 4-meter sweet spot where you can heal away from the killer and they won't see you or know where you are. But like, again, that's a pretty fantastic scenario. Like, I don't see that popping off too often. You know what I mean? So yeah, in conclusion, survivors are going down faster. A lot of survivors are going to have to adapt, and they're going to have to adapt fast. Certain killers are having more prevalence because Dead Hard is out of the game. Again, survivors have been relying on it for upwards of 4 years, 5 years, maybe 6 years, depending on when David came out. I'm not sure. So, yeah, a lot of chase, especially purely chase killers, are eating good. So survivors, just beware of chase, watch for every single chase perk, alright? And perks, right? Some perks are just not as bad as I thought they'd be, some perks have gotten a lot better through consistency, and some perks are suspect, right? If you have any other perks you want me to look at or you have any opinions on, be sure to leave them in the comments. I will check on them, right? But that's all I got for you today, and I hope you have a beautiful day, guys.